Perfect. And again, welcome and good morning. Thanks for joining us here on our webinar. Today's webinar is about mastering landowner outreach. So we'll be talking about AcreValue's new tools for effectively contacting landowners. My name is Jeff Nizuka. I'm the lead account executive here at AcreValue, and I'm excited to show you these new features here. Specifically, what we're going to be talking about is the following. So we'll start with an introduction to the new search by radius feature. So it's a feature that's been highly requested. We're going to be showing you how to find properties and landowners that are near you or near a certain location. After we introduce the new feature, we'll start talking about how to combine that search by radius with some other land filters that are available on AcreValue. For example, being able to search for specific properties in an area, or maybe taking a look at certain land ownership. There's a lot of use cases here, so we'll try and cover some of the most popular ones. Finally, we'll move into some custom data services. And so this is for folks who are looking to maybe reach out to other landowners or perhaps keep track of land values in an area. AcreValue does have some information and ways to help you with that. So we'll talk about these custom data services. And finally, we'll close the webinar by talking about the upcoming bulk skip tracing feature. We'll do a little bit of teaser on that and talk about what's coming down the pipe as well. So without further ado, let's actually jump right into the live demonstration here. So I'm going to flip over to the AcreValue website, and what we're going to start with is the new search by radius feature. So on my screen, what you'll be able to see is the AcreValue website here. Right now, I'm currently on the parcels map. So this is a map that's showing all of the land that is currently mapped out by parcels at the tax office in your county. And so as I zoom in, you'll be able to see that each of the parcels themselves is available along with the publicly registered owner of that parcel. What I want to show everyone is the new feature that allows you to say, I want to see everything within a certain area. So to do that, we're going to go to this more button up here. So this is your filters. And so what that's going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to open up more filters. And within those filters, there's an option here for filter by radius. That's going to be down here. And so when I select filter by radius, the map will automatically return and the system will start to filter the properties that are available on the map within a given radius. And so what we're seeing here is the map is returning all of the properties that are around within a 5-mile radius of the point that I started at on the map. And so these are the properties that are within that particular search area. Now, what this means is if I was looking to find all of the properties within this area, I could now just narrow down my search results to be just these properties. There's about 800 or so in my circle. I could then open up a list here that allows me to see who are the owners of these properties, what's the average soil productivity, what are some crops that were grown on the properties, how do I get in touch with these folks, right? These are some pretty key information that you can see about the properties themselves. And this makes it really easy to be able to narrow your scope of search down from what used to be maybe a county or a township and now down into just a particular radius circle that you can declare. And so for some customizability here, you're able to do things like change the radius itself. So if I wanted to go a little bit closer, I could do maybe 3 miles instead of 5, and I can redo my search, and that'll change the actual properties that are visible on my screen here. So redoing that, now I can see that the search radius is a little bit smaller. I can also place a new point. So if I wanted to, I can then choose to say, place a new point. That's going to allow me to move my property around a little bit or my center point around a little bit so that if I needed to go in a different location or if I wanted to start by searching from a particular property, maybe this wasn't my subject. Maybe I'm looking for a different subject to search by. I could do that as well. So let's say I wanted to move my map a little bit and place a new point. I could then do so. Um, what this means then is the next question becomes, how do I use this for my use cases, right? So if I wanted to place a new point here, I can do this, run a research right there. If I wanted to run this with a couple of other filters, right? So maybe I'm curious about looking at land in just this particular area, but also maybe there's instances where I wanted to see land being land being searched for by, acreage, maybe that's soil qualities, ownership. There's a lot of other filters that are available on acre value. And so let's take a look at some of those other filters, and let's take a look at how we can combine those filters into the different search parameters along with this radius. And so I'm going to switch over to another screen here. Let's go to this one right here. And so I've run a new search here. And what I've done is when we go to the more filters option, we can see that I've plugged in a couple of extra filters. So I've already started my filter by radius. Now I can do things like search for out-of-state landowners only, for example. I've also got an acreage minimum so that I only see parcels that are larger than 20 acres. I've also got a soil quality filter going so that this is Illinois. We're talking about productivity index in Illinois. I've only got prime farmland or pretty close to the prime farmland here available. And when I take a look at my results, we can very clearly see that not all of the properties in my ring are shown. That's, of course, expected given that not all of the properties fit the specific criteria that I was searching for, right? So greater than 20 acres has to be prime farmland, out-of-state landowners. These are the 70 parcels or so that fit my criteria instead of looking at maybe 800 parcels or so. And so with this particular combination of search by radius filters, as well as some of the other pre-established filters that acre value has, you can start to get really specific with your property searches. And if you're looking to, maybe if you're a landowner and you're looking to expand your operation, if you're an operator, maybe you're a realtor and you're looking to do some advertising on, maybe you've got a listing coming up, or you want to build out a network in a particular area and you've got a process for prospecting certain landowners in the area. This is going to really start to help you set those bounds of within a certain area from my subject property, how do I reach out to these landowners as efficiently, as effectively as possible? So now, talking about these particular use cases, we've only talked about the side of land ownership and parcels. Note that you can also do this with sales records as well. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip over to another screen on acre value. What I've done here is I've run the exact same search by radius to say, I'm curious about land values. I'm curious about land values maybe near my property, just as an example. I want to see what's sold within 5 miles from my property. And so I've run this filter by radius feature on the new sold land tab that's right here. And so this sold land tab, which you can see at the top left, that has all records of land sales that have been recorded by the county. And so these are specifically properties that have sold. This is a great way to keep track of what is actually happening in terms of land markets, especially near you. And the reason for that is because now you can set a radius to say, I want to be, 5 miles or 10 miles near me. Additionally, just like the parcels, you can start to add and layer in other filters on top of the search by radius filters. So in this case, what I've been able to do is I've said, let me see all land sales that have happened in the past 2 years. So I can set a sale date. I've also set a minimum price per acre. So that's $12,000 per acre on these sales in Illinois. It's pretty conservative. but it makes sure that I eliminate anything that's maybe non-arm's length. I've also got an acreage limit, so anything has to be greater than 20 acres. And again, I've also set a productivity rating on soil productivity. And when you combine all of these filters together, what we can see is that there are 17 sales of land that have happened in this particular area in Illinois, this 5 mile radius within the past 2 years. If I zoom in a little bit further, you'll actually start to see each of those sales appear on the map. And so you can see that these flags represent each of the sales themselves. I can see that there's a handful of sales here for, this one's 17,000 an acre. That happened last fall. This one down here is 12 and a half per acre, 12,500 per acre. That also happened last fall. We've also got 14,000, and the list goes on. I can either view those land sales on the map, or I can view them on the list view on the left-hand side here, just for a little bit of extra clarity, maybe some quick detail. Of course, you can do both at the same time too. That's my personal recommendation. And so just to kind of recap what we've seen so far, the feature that is new is the ability to filter by radius. So you can now say, I want to see either the properties or the sales that are within a particular distance from a particular point. I can set the distance of that radius. I can also place a new center point if I so choose. And I can also then layer in other filters that will help me get a little bit more specific with my either property search or my land sales search for tracking land values. I'll take a quick pause here. If anyone's got any questions about this, again, please feel free to drop those questions in the Zoom chat box. I'm happy to address those when the QA session comes up here. I'm more than happy to handle it between myself and my co-host, Don. Now, let's return back to one of the main use cases that we were talking about earlier, which is if we're thinking about parcels, let's say that you're somebody who needs to reach out to landowners in an area. And we're talking again about this particular example here of I've got some out-of-state landowners. They hold 20 acres or more. This is prime farmland. Maybe these are the folks who I want to be part of my, prospect list or my professional network so that I can potentially provide them services around, real estate, maybe energy development, etc. Acre Value also does have a service where we can generate some of these lists for you on demand. And so what I'm going to highlight now is conceptually think about it this way. This list of landowners that are in this radius that you can see on this left-hand side here, you get some information for them, but not everything. And so what I want to show you is for the folks who are interested in, really getting to market to these particular landowners, Acre Value does have an additional service called Custom Data Services, where we will put together lists for you based on your particular needs. And so, for example, this is one of the most popular lists that we put together. It's a list of landowners and their portfolios. So when you go market to those landowners, each list is going to have the landowner entity one time. It's also going to be able to show you how many acres do they own. Of those acres, tell me a little bit more about the land use types. For example, what was it used for? Was it tillable acreage? Was it mostly timber? Maybe it was pasture. If it was tillable cropland, what was grown on those acres? And then for each of those landowner portfolios as well, we'll be able to provide information like who's the name, so the name of the landowner, and then also how do I get in touch with them via mailing address. If we'd like to, you can also optionally add contact information here, digital contact information via phone numbers and emails. So if your outreach strategy includes digital contact, so that's making phone calls, sending emails, this will be a great solution for you to be able to get a list of phone numbers and emails to go down, one by one and start reaching out to folks as efficiently as possible. We put these lists together. Specifically, we have a data team that puts these lists together. And so we try to make it really easy for you so that you don't have to do the work of gathering all of the contact info and gathering all of the landowners who you need to trace. We'll just tell us the requirements that you're looking for, and we'll be happy to put together a list for you that would fit those criteria. Note that these lists themselves are an additional charge on top of the enterprise subscription. So the best thing to do in this case to start talking about a list for you and to start talking about, what that budget would look like for your marketing, come talk to myself or come talk to somebody else on our account executive team. We'd be happy to put together that list, at least send over a quote on what that would look like and how we can put together the right list for you. So this will make it very easy to do that. Again, note as well, we're not just limited to marketing to landowners in this area, although that is our most popular. We can also put together lists for the sales themselves. So if you're somebody who needs to have information on land sales and prefers more of that Excel format or using a spreadsheet to be able to do averages and find specific land sales that have happened in the past, 2 years or however long, let us know about that too. And we'd be happy to put together a sale list export that is going to be able to fit your needs. If you've got a range of sale dates that you'd want to target, the location, sale amount, etc., acreage, we can put together that custom list for you. And that way you'll be able to do that analysis a little bit quicker. Again, there's really not much work involved other than just letting us know, here's what I'm looking for, and we'll be able to put together that list for you and let you know how much it's going to cost. Note that in the acre value front end, so this is the website system here, there is a request a CSV export. As of right now, this button will take you to a contact form that will let us know that you're interested as well. So if you'd like to reach out this way to get started with talking to an account executive about a particular list, feel free to submit this contact form and one of myself or my team will be happy to reach out to you as well. That's another great way to get in touch with us. So if there are any questions, I'll just pause for a moment, let folks gather their thoughts. And the final thing that we want to touch on here, I would say, is the ability to take a look at some of the contact info, right? So I just touched on that, the ability to see landowner contact information from phone numbers and emails. We do also have a tool in our system that allows you to see some of that information one by one on demand in the website, essentially. And so if you're curious about finding contact information, what you would do is you'd open up the list view or select the property. There is a magnifying glass icon right here that allows you to see one by one, who am I contacting? In this case, we'll be able to tell you how old is the landowner, what's their potential phone number, what's their potential email, and how do I get in touch with them via mailing address. We are coming with a feature that will allow you to do all of this searching in bulk as well. So what that means is if you're trying to target certain folks who are within, again, let's go back to the radius. If you're trying to target folks who are within a certain radius, and we also want to make sure that we want to find their contact information digitally, so phone numbers and emails, you'll be able to search down this list of folks in the area, not one by one, but you'll be able to search with a little bit more of a one-click option that allows you to see everybody's contact info quickly. So trying to make it a little bit easier for folks who, maybe aren't necessarily interested in the lists that we provide, but are okay with just doing the research in the app themselves. For those folks, we're trying to make it a little bit easier to do some of that research as well. Note again that these features that we're talking about now, so this is the search criteria, the search option for phone numbers and emails. Each of these searches is 12 cents on top of your particular subscription level that you hold. So if you want to give that a shot, there are ways to buy credits throughout the application. Just go ahead and select a parcel or select a um, owner in the list view. That'll allow you to click the magnifying glass here. If you do have credits, you'll be able to run a search. If you don't have credits, you'll be able to purchase more. Now let's take a look at the time here. Okay, we're just about right on time, and let's complete our discussion here with how do I get started? I think that's a very important thing to review. So on acre value, of course, we do have quite a bit of basic information and tools which you can start to explore through a subscription to the website. Everything that I've reviewed so far, so that includes the search by radius, that includes the custom landowner mailing lists, as well as sales exports. These are going to be available for folks who are power users and commercial users. And for that, you'll want to get in touch with Acre Value sales team for a custom quote. That is including myself and the rest of my account executive team here as well. Again, there are ways to get in touch with us via the website. So that is using this button right here. So request a CSV export is one great way to get in touch with us and tell us a little bit more about what you're looking for. Additionally, I will put up my contact information at the end of this webinar. Feel free to save it. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk and at least just try and find a way for us to help you further. And with that, I think this is a great time to transition into our Q&A session here. So let's go ahead and open up the Q&A session now. I did see that there were a few questions that were coming in, so let's see. Don, help me find a few questions for me. There's a few here.
There's an easy one right off the top, the who owns acre value.
Oh, yep, there we go. Okay, so thank you for asking that question. So who owns Acre Value? We are owned by a company called Ag Analytics. This is an independent company, third party. I do get this question quite a bit. So we're not owned by CoStar or Zillow or anyone else. We are owned by Ag Analytics, and we are an independent company. Another great question along the same vein. So are acres.com and Acre Value owned by the same company? No, we are not. Acres.com is a separate entity. We are separate from them. And maybe I can move that into another question that came up as well. Thank you for asking these. How often do you update your land records? Accuracy of the contact information. So we update our contact information and our land sale records once a quarter. So that's 4 times a year. That's on the parcels side. So every time, once every 3 months or so, we've got an automated process that pulls in new parcels from the county. If the county has any changes in ownership or maybe like split parcels, something like that, maybe there was a land sale, we'll pull those in once every 3 months. Notably on the sales record side, so these are the land sales themselves, these are updated weekly. So every week we run a new process to pull in new sales records from the county. In this particular filtered search where I've got 20 plus acres and quite a few other filter designations on my screen here, the most recent search that came in was from earlier this spring. If I take out some of these filter options here, I'm sure that we'll see some sales from June, May, perhaps even maybe even July here. Perfect. And note as well, I think I mentioned this earlier, but I'll mention it again. So these records, the parcels and the sales records, these are coming in from the county. So we try and align ourselves, or we do align ourselves with the local county records themselves. So whether that's your courthouse, tax assessor, appraiser district, there's a few different names for those. We align with those records. Perfect. Okay, let's see. I do also see, oh, and then accuracy of the contact information. So that also loops in a little bit more into where this info is coming from. We are, of course, a third party, so we can't guarantee the accuracy of the information. That being said, we do try and align ourselves with the county, and we do. And so you should see what is visible on our system reflected within the county. They're going to be the source of record. So if you do have any questions about discrepancies, I would say double check with the county. The one piece to the puzzle that is different is this national database for phone numbers and emails. So we rely on a third party tracing service. It's called skip tracing is kind of the technical term for it. Um, I can't guarantee their accuracy just because it is a third party and it's a nationwide database. That being said, whenever I do demonstrations or whenever I do searches with folks at conferences, that sort of thing, I do find more often than not that we do show the actual contact information here as well. So we'll try and provide you everything we've got, and we will. And more often than not, I've seen that it's been successful. Alrighty, another question. Do you have land records for all counties in each state, even those that aren't zoned for agricultural? Good question. So we cover the lower 48 states, so no Alaska, no Hawaii. And our primary focus is on agricultural land, of course. So right now on my screen, you can see that most of my focus has been on farmland in Illinois. Um, we do also work with rural properties as well as properties that may be a little bit more along the recreational side, that might not be necessarily as rural or designated as agricultural, but might be like a lakefront property or something like that, a little bit more recreational. I would say the one thing that really doesn't fall within our scope here is your residential properties that are heavily in a residential area in town, or some types of commercial properties, again, that are within town. Just as kind of a general rule of thumb, if your properties that you're looking for are within, roughly city limits, I would say, you may want to double check with us to make sure that we have those properties. Otherwise, I would be pretty confident in saying that we've got most of the other properties on offer here.
There's a question towards the top. Can you set email alerts to let you know when a new parcel comes in the market for your safe search area?
Yeah, that's a good question. So that is referring to coming on the market. Great. So when it's up for sale, something like that, that's a great question. We do have a separate land for sale section that's going to be over here. And let's actually open that up here. So perfect. What we can see here, so for the land for sale section, you can set up the ability to get email notifications for local land in your area. We actually do this automatically. If you are interested in a particular listing, something like that, I would recommend selecting a listing in your area that you're curious about, and our system will start to send you some other emails for other listings in that area. So for example, I'm in McLean County, Illinois. If I'm curious about this particular listing, I can pull it up. And then as I take a look at more and more listings in a particular area, the system will realize that and start to send you other listings that are going to be valid or in the area for you. If you don't see that happening, let us know, and we'd be happy to set that up for you in our system manually, so that way you're getting active emails for those listings in the area. Okay, perfect. And we're just about on time here as far as our Q&A session goes. One final note, and Don mentioned this in the chat, I will mention it here as well. We are recording this webinar, so once the webinar is over here in a moment, and our webinar team has a chance to process the recording and upload it, we will be putting it on YouTube, and we will be sharing it via email with the attendees as well as our general Acre Valley audience as well. So if you joined late, no worries, we're recording it. You'll be able to see most of the webinar that you missed as well. And with that, we're actually just about on time here, 9:30 my time. Thank you again. If you do have any other questions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up my contact information right here, and we'll close with this. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email, give me a phone call. Happy to chat further about your needs and see how Acre Value can help. Appreciate the comment, Fletcher. Thanks. I enjoyed presenting to everyone here. Have a great, wonderful rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks all.